Looking to improve your squad on Ultimate Team? Visit IGGM.com for safe and reliable coins with the link in the description. Use my promo code NA to get 5% off. What's up guys? The new Team of the Season patch is officially out as of a couple days ago, and usually what I do is after every patch we go over the best custom tactics, like literally the best formations I mean. That way players have, the best custom tactics for post-patch gameplay. And to start off, we'd obviously have to go with the best formation in the game in my current opinion, and to me that is going to be the 4-2-1-3. Now obviously it's not the only good custom tactic in the game, it's not the only good formation in the game, but in my opinion, it's just the best one in the game, like collectively for this entire year. There's other good formations as well, obviously, but the 4-2-1-3, it incorporates the benefits that other formations have while still having things that other formations don't. So for example, you have the 2 CDMs, which at this point of the game, 2 CDMs is going to be absolutely incredible in terms of defense. You basically have 6 defenders, which is crazy. You have a cam as well. In that cam, if you can get incisive on them, or if you can get them on playmaker, or that combination to begin with, they're just going to be super good. And then obviously you have two wingers and a striker. That's self-explanatory, of course. But it's so OP to the point where I think it's going to get removed next year, because it's just ridiculous how you can have 2 CDMs and a cam on the same pitch. I would just honestly literally say it's just a broken formation. And quickly, before we go over the custom tactic, it's pretty important to cover a couple things in terms of your player attributes, making sure you have the proper sets. Defense, just make sure they're good defenders, high pace, high defense, high physicality. I'm sure at this stage of the game you know this. Your 2 CDMs, try to think of having one as a defender and one as your facilitator or your deep playmaker. And what I mean by this, you look at Andre Santos right here. Intercept Plus is probably the best defending playstyle in the game. This guy controls so much space. When the ball goes around him or near him, he just locks onto it like he has aimbot. It's really useful. And then you have Hoiberg right here. Also a pretty good defender, but the fact that he has deep lying playmaker plus means I can use him to step up. And he also has full all-white passing playstyles. So does Santos, but that's a prerequisite that I usually have across the pitch in terms of my midfield. Trying to get as many passing playstyles as I can. That way we can just make passing quick as possible. So if you're ever playing someone and they're just going through your midfield so easily, this is one of the reasons. Because me personally, I didn't even do the Gillet SPC just because of that. I didn't want to spend, I don't remember how many coins it was, but I didn't want to spend that amount of coins to not have every single passing playstyle. I love having all of them. Obviously whip pass is irrelevant, but yeah, that's that. Your cam, try to aim with someone with incisive pass plus. The white is perfectly fine. It's not a deal breaker by all means, but the plus, you'll just feel it, This play doesn't have to be too fast. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but if you can just get someone with incisive pass plus, or at least the white incisive pass, then you got to playmaker. And you got to make sure they have playmaker plus plus. For the rest of the custom tactic, especially at this point in the game where you have players for everything now, try to get plus plus everywhere. As you can see, I have plus plus everywhere, so it's gonna make your AI super quick and super responsive. And then obviously your 2 wingers, but that's self-explanatory, and your striker. And then that brings us to the custom tactic right here, which you can see with the code. I'll have it in bigger text in the top right. Now obviously this is self-explanatory. I'm sure you've seen every single video where I stick to build up style balanced. I do hope next year they change it up a little bit. The fact that there's only 3 settings right here is just kind of boring. Maybe if there's like a bar where you can kind of like choose if you want it to be too balanced or if you want to like get a little bit more to the counter side, kind of like how it existed last year in FIFA 24. I'd like for that to be a change, but for now, just use balanced. Now defensive approach high, guys. We're not doing any more 91 depth or 95 or none of that. It got nerfed hard, so in short, just use 70. There's still going to be some people I've seen that insist on using 91 depth, and it's not like destroyed by all means. It's just that the one issue with using 91 plus depth is the fact that you have to be more concentrated, because there'd be more gaps that would open up from how hard your team is pressing, that you just have to be super locked in when you were defending. And obviously it's the same case now, but now you have to be even more locked in to the point where it's just not even convenient for me, to be honest. I tried it for a little bit. I just couldn't be bothered. I was just conceding way too many goals. So 70 was always pretty useful. It was always pretty reliable for me. I just found 91 to be the defense approach that I would use if I wanted to just really kill someone in defense. But yeah, 70, like I said, good enough. That brings us to player roles. Now obviously advanced forward attack up front, but the important thing to talk about is your wingers. Now I know people like to spice things up here. They like to put roaming. And the reason why I don't suggest roaming, especially if you're a less experienced player or if you're not like a crazy player, like a 15-0 type player, When you have them unbalanced, it's very simple. They're going to be in a more consistent position. And what I mean by that is if you're not someone that can basically operate well when your players are in completely different positions every single second, when you use balance, they're going to stay in a consistent area. And what I mean by that is they're always going to be in front of their fullbacks, ready to receive a pass, especially from the playmaker. And they're going to have their back pointed towards the fullback. And hopefully you have a winger here, as well as a right winger, that have good physical attributes. That way they can receive the ball, take a touch, and then you can maybe pull off a dribble or pass it back, maybe do a pass and go. The reason why I say that is because, like I said, since their back is pointed towards their defender, you don't want them to receive the ball and immediately get tackled for it. Now, I don't have any issue with that in these wingers in specific, and I don't think you guys will either, because let's be honest, like everyone has like 80 plus physicality on their wingers, or at least I'd hope they do. But I find myself in situations where I can start with the ball at the defense right here, or the CDM, instant pass to the winger because they're going to be wide open, and then that winger can either do a first time pass to my striker or the first time pass to my cam, trigger a run, they're in behind, through ball, goal. Or not goal, obviously, but you still have to do a cutback or maybe run through on goal and then you shoot, whatever the case may be. You'll see in the clips that I have attached. But the same concept applies to the right winger. And like I said, like I mentioned with the cam, that's going to be his job. He's going to be making more assists than goals. You already have 3 players up front that act as the primary goal outputs. So you don't really need a shadow striker here or someone that is making a ton of runs into the box. Now, this player is still going to make runs into the box, but he's only going to make runs when there's a ton of space for him to do so. So if there's a wide open gap for a cutback or something like that, he's going to be in the box. And we'll mention why he makes that run when we talk about the CDMs, because we've done something very specific with the CDMs to make sure he runs in the box more often than not. But for the most part, this player is going to stay at the edge of the box. He's going to try to put himself in positions where he can either receive the ball as consistently as possible, so that means roaming around a little bit. Not literally roaming as you would assume with the, if I changed it to playmaker roaming, not literally that, but more so, let's say the left winger has the ball, this player is going to run towards the left winger to receive it, and the shadow striker doesn't really do that. So this helps you recycle possession, keep it in dangerous positions. And when he's not doing that, he's putting himself in positions on the pitch where he's surrounded or he has space in the box. So you'll notice that sometimes when this player is in shooting positions finally, he'll have like a ton of space to just instantly shoot or take a touch and shoot. But that's that. And I wanted to briefly mention how our CDMs operate here. And you might think it's interesting that we're not doing 2 deep lying playmakers on deep lying playmaker buildup when we usually do. And the reason why we do that is the fact that, like I said, with this playmaker unbalanced, if you obviously know what deep line playmaker does, what it does is when you have the ball, especially in an aggressive position at other team's box, what it's going to do is basically turn this player into a playmaker as well, the same as the cam. They're going to step up as high, sometimes make runs into the box as well. However, when we have both on deep line playmaker buildup, they kind of collide with each other and they're less likely to make runs because one of them is waiting for the other. And what I mean by that is there's only so much space in the box. So what this does is it basically waits for one player to make the run and then the other stays back. But the issue with that is when the player stays back, he's not really doing anything because he's just waiting, because he wanted to make a run but the other AI beat him to it, and there's no plan B for the other CDM. Now obviously, since the 4-2-1-3 is one of the biggest formations in the game, and generally speaking formations that have cams in them are big formations to begin with, we want to be able to counter other 4-2-1-3s or maybe 4-2-2s or something like that, just any formation with cams. Having a holding on defend is going to force this player to man mark the other team's cam. So that way when you lose the ball, this holding player can sweep for it back. This is why it's really important that I had intercept plus on it, because there'd be situations where I would lose the ball in build up, or sorry, in the other team's box. He tries to get the ball out, trying to get to his cam, but my CDM's there first. If I had 2 deep line playmakers on build up, he won't be able to do that. But in terms of offensively, you can still use this player in attack if you need to. Sometimes what I do is I manually control him on the ball. I get him involved, I trigger a run with him just in case maybe I'm playing someone that isn't using a cam, or maybe I just want to take the risk regardless. You can still get this player involved in build up. It's not like he's going to be sticking all the way behind. It's just that for the most part, especially once we get into the box where the CDMs aren't really needed anymore, he's going to be thinking about what happens when you lose the ball. Because once you ignore this player, once you forget about him, you're already going to have 5 players involved in attack. You're going to have your cam, your 3 wingers, or sorry, your 3 players up front and your other CDM. So you already have plenty of, work going into your attack. You don't really need more than that. Now, obviously, if you're not a fan of this, it's a completely fine. you can go back to using 2 deep line playmakers on balance, or sorry, on build up. But me personally, I found holding to do a really good job for me, especially in defending against counterattacks, especially against people using the 4-2-1-3s as well. And then obviously your fullbacks and your defenders are going to be on fullback defend and defender defend, and your goalkeeper is going to be on goalkeeper defend. I know I mentioned this earlier, guys, but it's really important, especially at this stage of the game where cards have a ton of role masteries applied to them. Try to make sure you can get the the double plus on every single card on your team. Now, fortunately, this custom tactic doesn't use any weird roles. It's mostly just like popular ones, so it shouldn't be hard to get double plus on everything. But I remember playing with I forgot which fullback it was, but I was playing with a fullback the other day that didn't have double plus. They didn't even have the single plus on fullback defend, and they were just constantly out of position. So try to get double plus on every single player, including your goalkeeper. Your players will run much more quicker based on AI. They're going to be in the position that they're supposed to be much more frequently. They're going to be in more consistent positions, which means that you'll be able to basically build your own personal chemistry and muscle memory with your players, because if they're in a position that you can expect them to be before you even see them on that side of the pitch or on that area of the pitch, you'll just be able to play basically at a tempo that your opponent cannot participate with or play against. And as you saw for me, I had the double plus on everything, and it's been one of the biggest changes I can make. Honestly, at the start of the year, I didn't really have double plus like that, and it just was not really good for me. I felt like my players were just slow, constantly offside, not making enough runs. I felt like I had to basically play for my team, and that my AI was just dead, but now it's not the case. But yeah, guys, other than that, that's it for this video. Go ahead and leave me any questions down below in the comments if you have any. But other than that, guys, like, comment, subscribe. That's all.